Hey everybody, this is Diane Brandon Moody, and I am here once again with another episode of 50 Something Love. I am so happy that you're here and you're joining me. Thank you so much. Today's episode 58, is something that I am just thrilled to talk about. I have to tell you that I am absolutely in love with the show Love on the Spectrum. Now, I want to be very transparent here. I only know so much about autism and being on the spectrum. No one in my family has this, nor do my friends. That's not on purpose. That's just the way it's worked out so far. So, I'm going to be telling you a little bit about my observations because I watched this show thoroughly through the lens of a dating coach. And I'm going to talk today about some of the things that I've learned and some of the things that I think are important for everyone to learn. So, if I get something wrong, I'm going to invite you to send me an email at info@dianebrandonmoody.com. I would be more than happy to hear from you. I would be more than happy to hear from anyone. And if you are someone connected to the show, please definitely reach out because I'd love to have an episode with you guys, whether you're involved in the production or you're one of the people appearing in the show or you're some of the parents, anything like that. I would absolutely love to host you. So let's get started. So, Love on the Spectrum is on Netflix. I have watched every single episode, and the fourth season just dropped a couple of days ago, and I watched it all in one sitting. This is how much I love this show. So it's won 5 Emmy Awards so far, and it also features a dating coach with her name is Jennifer Cook, and she is on the spectrum herself. And I don't think she found out until, she was well grown as an adult. So that was in one of the episodes. She is amazing when she's talking to these daters and helping them out with tips. Those tips are useful for anybody, anywhere. So pay attention to those if you get a chance to watch the show. Here's what I love about the show. The people on the spectrum who want love in their lives and who doesn't, everybody at some time wants love in their lives. They are incredibly brave people. They are putting themselves out there and they are just being brave. Sometimes we can take a lesson from that, folks, because sometimes we're not that brave and we give ourselves reasons for it. Oh, all the men are terrible, or, all the women only want my money, or whatever. We make up reasons when really the secret fear under that is we're just scared to put ourselves out there. I mean, what happens if we're rejected? Because that happens, but it doesn't mean anything about you. So I'm going to talk some lessons that I've learned from this show, and I want to make them available to you as well. So it's on Netflix. Highly, highly recommend it. Watch the show if you can. So, as I alluded to already, lesson one, they're brave. They're very brave people. Most of them have not dated before the show, or if they have, it was a little bit and it didn't go very well. So some of these situations and some of these matches, would scare neurotypical people. That it just would. A date with a stranger, that can be frightening to anybody. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if they're going to like you. You don't know if you're going to like them. I mean, that can be a little bit scary for anyone. But these folks are brave. They're risking rejection. They're risking getting to know people on camera, knowing that a lot of people are going to watch them. And they don't even pretend that they're not scared. They say they're nervous. They say they're scared. They talk about it. They say, I've never done this before. Maybe they say, I'm nervous. They say, I have autism and this is hard for me. They're admitting it. Talking about whatever your fears are in dating out loud will help you immensely because it's not the fears that you know that holds you back. It's the ones that you're not admitting, the secret fears that are beneath every belief that you may have. They can't hide behind other beliefs. They're brave. So let's look into that and let's just say next time anybody listening to this, the next time you get ready for a date, if you're afraid, just say so. Just say so. And that will get you halfway there. Lesson number 2. These folks are so honest about what they want. When someone on the show is asked what they're looking for, they tell you. They're just direct. I want someone who shares my interest in trains. I want someone who's kind and patient, or I want someone on a similar level of the spectrum that I am. They don't perform. They're not saying what they think they're supposed to say. They don't pretend they had a great time when they didn't. Compare this to what I see with some of the neurotypical daters. Women who say they want a nice guy, but they keep choosing emotionally unavailable men. Women who say they're open, but they have a mental checklist that no human can satisfy. Women who go on a terrible date and then text the guy, I had a great time because they don't want to be rude. Look, this honesty is so refreshing. It's very refreshing. And while I would never condone being a jerk to a person you went out with, if they sincerely were doing their best, please don't ever be jerky to people because it's a vulnerable place to date. But it's okay to be honest and say, I just don't think we're going to be a match. You don't have to go into it any more deeply than that. Just I don't think we're going to be a match, but I wish you the best. Lesson number 3. They are very direct. Now, this is one of those traits of autism that people hear about, like, you know, blunt, I think it's called sometimes, when in reality, it's just directness to me. And that can really help in dating if you're direct. If you're not interested, just say so. And like I said, you don't have to be a jerk about it, but just say, I don't think we're a match, or I don't have a connection to you, or I'm not feeling what I hope to feel. Yeah, the other person may be disappointed. You may be disappointed if someone says it to you, but knowing you're not a match with someone instead of hoping and continuing to wish you were a connection, or worse, thinking you do have a connection when you really don't, that is so refreshing to me. And that makes dating so much easier when you're in the position to just say, thank you for letting me know. I wish you the best. That is so helpful for everyone. Let's not mix our signals, please. You may not want to hear it, and it may take you a little time to process that, but let's move on nonetheless. Lesson number 4, and this one I think is super important. They're looking for compatibility and not perfection. Nobody on that show is looking for a Disney prince. They don't. They're looking for someone compatible. And they define compatible as practical and grounded in the way that they define that. They're talked about shared interests and communication styles and someone they actually enjoy being around. It's pretty simple. That's really the basis for most of them. Sometimes the guys will talk about how I really wanted to have curly hair, And then they meet someone they like who has straight hair, and then they decide that's okay. It really is okay. The superficial things that we think we want, we can throw out the window when we find something that's even better. So, this is a lesson for every dater, no matter who you are, at what stage of life that you're dating. Compatibility beats chemistry every time in the long run. I know everybody wants chemistry on the first date. That's awesome. It feels good. But is chemistry going to be the thing that helps you pick someone that helps you out when you have knee surgery, like I did recently? My husband was great. He was there with me, took care of me for a couple of days when I really couldn't do much on my own. We have great compatibility. We get along very well. We have chemistry, but what we know about each other is that I know he'll take care of me in those situations, and I know I'll take care of him at the same time. Shared values and genuine enjoyment of each other's company is what will last the longest. Lesson number 5, they get help when they need it. The daters on this show lean on family, their friends, and in the US version, a coach named Jennifer Cook. She's on the spectrum herself, diagnosed at age 35. She's an author, an advocate, and now chair of the Autism Society of America's Council on Autistic Advisors. She's very good at what she does. There are some sessions that they record. Now, I don't know what goes on when the cameras are off. Some of this may be harder for other people than what they portray. I can only go by what happens with the cameras on. But there's a lot that goes on with the cameras on. So I don't think they're hiding much. And they will ask for Jennifer's help. And Jennifer will teach them how to converse with someone, how to open up conversations. She's what one thing that she has said that's really struck me is in an interview, she once said, "Nobody was trying to be fixed. My role as a coach was never as a fixer or as a changer." We don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to change anybody. I don't want to fix them. I just want their natural brilliance and their natural chemistry and their natural way of being to come out in a way that fear won't stop them. That's exactly the way I coach. So we expand the capacity. That helps a lot. When people are closed off or they're afraid, they can't let the love of another person in. So they'll come up with silly reasons why they can't. I like he doesn't like Netflix. This is silly. You can do Netflix on your own. So don't come up with the silly ones. Or if you do come up with the silly ones, understand that there's something sneaky hiding under there. There is still sometimes a stigma around getting help with dating. I know this because sometimes people will say a dating coach. I'd never heard of that. Well, listen, if you dated for a long time and it hasn't worked for you, what's wrong with it getting some help from somebody else? Nothing. Nothing's wrong with that. It would be sillier to keep doing it in a way that doesn't work for you. We don't do that. Not in my world. You need help, you get help. If I could offer one observation, and this applies to everyone, this is the only thing I would say that I wish the daters on that show did more of, and that is to wait a little longer. Besides, wait a little longer before they decide that this is their forever person. Some of them are struck very quickly. They see a girl and think she's beautiful and I want to be with you forever. I don't know how much of that is autism and how much of that is just not receiving coaching on that. I'm a little ignorant in that part of it. But You just can't decide that instantly. Now, when I say that, somebody's going to say, well, I know my aunt and uncle met each other one day and were married the next, and they've been together for 40 years. This happens. It does. It can happen. It just doesn't very often, especially not in today's world of endless, endless, endless choices. You can go online and have the world at your fingertips. Has that made dating better? No, it hasn't. People do meet their spouses online. I met my husband online. It's not that it doesn't work, it's the endless choices and the idea that there's always somebody better that can come along. That's where people get stuck. Look, dating takes courage. It just does. It takes honesty. It takes some vulnerability. The people on Love on the Spectrum model, all of that openly. And I think every dater can learn from them. So, just as a reminder, if you're connected to the show in any way, I would love to chat with you. And if I have said something that wasn't quite correct about autism, I would love to be corrected. I'm always open to learning. So, here's what I'm going to tell you about next week's podcast episode. Next week, we are going to be doing an update on dating scams. I've learned a lot in the last week or so, and I will be happy to share that. Did you know in 2024, Americans lost $10 billion, dollars, 10 billion with a B dollars to dating scams? Now, I will tell you that that is not all romance scams. That's estimated to be around 2 billion without knowing for sure. But I am going to talk about all of that in the next episode. So, after you take a look at Love on the Spectrum, please go to my website at dianebrandonmoody.com. You will find an option to sign up for a document called the 7 Dating Patterns. You may have one of them. You may have all of them at one time or another. I know I did. So please go there and sign up for that document, and then you'll be in my world and you'll know when I'm doing special events. Thanks for listening. I am looking forward to meeting and getting to know all of you. And take a look at that show. I think it's wonderful. Bye.